Dinkin and Catherine Brinkworth, also known as JD Brinkworth, welcome to the conversation.
Doesn't work. Yeah, we're still kind of answering that ourselves, actually.
We always have one person writes the first draft of everything in chunks, and then the second person rewrites everything. We signed up for I'd say suspiciously cheap one. We signed up for it thinking it was based in London. It had a very London-y name as to its location. I won't name it. And then once you enroll, you find out the course has run out of Shanghai.
We went to a murder mystery weekend to research it and to sort of test it out.
Are they playing it out the whole weekend? Even if you're going to have breakfast?
Yeah. The Pine Master Detective Agency, it's about a 30-something-year-old couple, Simon and Jane, who take on a private detective night course for fun to spend more time together.
I'm Nadine Matheson, host of The Conversation, and I know you're keen to get on with the show and watch my conversation with my guest. But before we do, I have one small request. Can you please hit the subscribe button? You might already have done so, but if you haven't, hit the subscribe button now. Takes a second, less than a second. Right, thank you very much, and let's get on with the show. Joe Deacon and Catherine Brinkworth, also known as JD Brinkworth, welcome to The Conversation. I'm very excited to have you here. You're my first official conversation that I'm recording for 2026, which is why we had all the technical disasters. Well, I had the technical disasters, not you.
What an honor. Get the technical disasters out of the way with us, and you can have a smooth year ahead.
Have a smooth 2026. Okay, my first question, whenever I speak to couples, so writing partnerships, the first question that always pops into my head is, how does it work?
Doesn't work. Yeah, we're still kind of answering that ourselves, actually. It's not as if you would think we maybe had like a master plan that we would always follow, but we actually do it slightly differently every time. You explain it quite well, actually.
Yeah, when we decided we wanted to write a book together, we had tried writing a film together before, so had a bit of a sense of each other's method. And therefore we had a bit of a sensible process we wanted to follow with our book. The first thing that was going to be absolutely critical for us was plotting. I know there's a lot of debate in the writing community about plotting versus pantsing. We're heavy plotters. And
thank you. It's the way to go.
It is the way to go. It blows my mind in interviews when you hear about these incredible writers just making up as they go along. I can't imagine.
Very brave.
Lee Child is one of those where he just writes. And I know I've spoken to writers on the podcast where there's no plan, and they're good with that. Whereas that leaves me quietly, I don't like it.
No, I do get the advantage of it is that, like, if you have to keep surprising and entertaining yourself, then there's a good chance that it will end up entertaining and surprising for everyone else. But I would be just on the edge of my seat, like with just my own nerves. What if I can't come up with it? What if it all goes wrong? We have to rewrite the whole thing.
And for a duo in particular, I think your options are slightly more constrained. Two people can't make it up as they go along. Well, maybe some can. I don't know.
Try next time.
We'll try next time.
See how it goes.
See how it goes. So plotting takes ages for us, or it has done so far, which is good. It's probably the most intimate and collaborative part of the whole process. And when we started actually putting words down for our first book, we had something like 15 to 20,000 words of plot beats, which is, I think, really, really long for a plot summary, kind of 20% the length of a novel itself. So then it comes to actually.
It's kind of like how I think I do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, once you've plotted out scenes and stuff and you put in your little touches, idea, the line that you like, very quickly adds up.
Yeah. You have a Word document as well. We have just like a big Word document with all different color-coded bits that we both added.
I'm trying to be more organized. I have Word documents, Scrivener, and notebooks all over the place. But when I start plotting, I have to do it by hand. Like I can't do it on the screen. Like my brain doesn't. I know my brain after all these years, and it doesn't work that way. I think it likes to be doing something more tangible. So I plot it out on paper first.
Oh, that's really cool.
You need something that's really natural for you personally. Getting the ideas out. I mean, for me, the first capture is always the notes app in my iPhone. That kind of just where I dump thoughts generally. That's where it lands. But You might write on paper.
Yeah, I write a lot of my first drafts on paper. I'll go to the cafe with just a notebook and write a new chapter. And then when I type it up, it gets a lot better in the second go.
Yeah.
So I need to do that.
Anyway, so we had huge plot plans, and then we were very concerned about us as a duo. I know this isn't relevant to every writing duo, but we were very concerned that our writing voice would come out choppy if we tried to divide and conquer. We do have quite different writing styles. So we always have one person writes the first draft of everything in chunks, and then the second person rewrites everything.
Oh,
So,
really? That's how you do it?
yeah. I do think we haven't actually tried it the other way, but I think it would come out really different if we each did that first unfold from the plot plan at different points.
Yeah.
But because the plot is so detailed, that first writing phase is actually really quick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so detailed that we'll have like lists of like jokes that could go in the scene that we thought of 3 months ago and went in the notes that
Yeah.
then we just spend ages getting everything we've got and putting it in the plan so that, yeah, there's definitely a lot of both of us in there already.
And then the writing itself is really, really quick. We find that very easy, writing and then rewriting others' work, the longest and slowest bit, which I'd be interested to hear if this is your experience as well. Editing, of course. Editing, pain, 80%.
Editing's a different beast. And I think it's only when you, become published, or you're in the machine of it, you realize how completely different the editing process is. But I don't mind it, because I like jigsaws. Like, I just genuinely like doing jigsaw puzzles. So I feel like when I'm editing, you're taking all the pieces apart and you're trying to put it together again. So I don't mind editing. But I remember doing a panel a couple of years ago, and there was a couple who wrote together, married couple, and they wrote their books. But they don't do it the way you did it. They were literally, one would do a chapter, and then they would hand it over to the husband. He would write a chapter and then hand it over. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't know. Like, I'm just fascinated by it generally, because obviously they write a book and it's published and it does well. But I don't. It's it's like saying it's two completely different mindsets, and even how you may write, Joe, and how you may write, Catherine. You've got two completely different styles. So then, how do you make it all come together and be comprehensive?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that we definitely have like a voice that's ours, that we can recognize when something that doesn't fit the voice very well and needs editing. So yeah, I think it would be really hard if we were doing 50% each.
But I think Nikki French, for example, that may be the couple you're referring to. I think
No, it was a different couple.
A different couple.
Yeah, it was a different couple.
But Nikki French, I think that's how they write, like separate rooms, separate chapters, and then they edit each other's work. Obviously, that is a tried and tested, very successful way to do it. I think at Harrogate this summer, there is going to be a panel exclusively of writing duos, which would be really interesting in the crime space.
Yeah.
And to hear kind of how different pairs approach it.
Yeah, we have to go and get tips. That would be cool.
Maybe we're doing it all wrong.
Yeah, we do. And when it gets down to more of the nitty gritty of editing, we are like do it very closely. Sometimes sitting at the laptop, kind of arguing over words.
You're doing it together.
Yeah, we do a lot of it together, and like every change. I wouldn't want to, for example, if I was doing a bit of editing, I wouldn't want to change something really without telling you. It wouldn't sort of feel right. But then it means I have to keep pulling you over and say, can we use this word? You're like, I'm not worried about that.
I think writing is much quicker as a pair, but editing is much, much slower.
Yeah.
You both really have to be bought into the change and then the continuity impacts of a change.
It's hard enough doing it solo.
Yeah, we went into this and we were like, maybe it'll be half as much work. Oops.
Well, it goes back to the thing. It's like, you're two different people, individuals. You have your own different likes and dislikes, and so it goes to maybe like your own different reading habits as well. And that all feeds into how you write and how you see a story developing. So it's hard for me, just me on my own. Like, I wish I could. Yeah, I wish I could hand it over, but I can't. I have to do it myself. But then if I'm arguing with someone, do we need this word?
Oh, so yeah. In a way, I think I imagine doing it alone might be more challenging in the sense that if you get stuck, I don't know. I would spiral very quickly if I didn't think of you.
Yeah, I think that the biggest perk I find of writing with someone else. It's the accountability piece.
Yeah.
That's what I expect to write solo all through my 20s. When, you know, the person who's waiting for your notes or the chapter that you've drafted is literally sitting in the same room as you, like, you waiting, or you have to get the work done. You have to do it. As a solo writer, if I'm really not feeling it that day, I can just read the news for the day.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because I found, well, not this year, last year, I found a lot of writers I was speaking to, they were looking for like accountability partners. Because you're there, even if they don't need to be in the room with you, and you might only just check in with them like once a month or, you know, once every couple of months, but just someone just to give them a gentle prod and say, have you done what you said you were going to do? And then for them to keep on going. Because a lot of it is mental. A lot of this writing game, I think, it's a mental challenge.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think part of the thing that's so good with accountability, like we have it, is that we both believe in the idea. So when I've also written a fair bit on my own, but I always find it harder to trust that I've started up on the right project or the right story or that I'm going in the right direction, because it's just me who's decided that. Now, I don't really trust my own as much as ours as a pair. So yeah, that helps me as well to not second guess it or doubt it. Like you say, my mind would probably play those tricks on me a bit more if I was doing it.
I kept having in my head, don't know if you remember when Princess Diana was being interviewed and she said, there's 3 people in this marriage. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, I'm thinking Catherine, Joe and the editor.
That's so funny.
I think it must be strange to our editor. I mean, I think if you are an editor who works with a pair of writers, you're unlikely to be working with several pairs. There isn't the division of editing penguin. Maybe there should be. But I think it is a weird experience. Yeah. You have to keep it so balanced. We try and avoid ever asking our editors to be a tiebreaker, although it does happen.
Yeah, we see a united front.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's like, it's something I always say to when I'm training the baby lawyers, I always say to them, a lot of this job that we do, a lot of it is managing egos. Yeah. And not in an offensive way. You're managing people and you're managing personalities. So I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm thinking about the poor editor, but I'm thinking for the poor editor, you know, it might be bad enough he or she, they've got to deal with one person. That's like one ego. But to have 2, so for them it's a big personality management job.
Totally. And I think actually we're pretty aware of that, and we don't want to be I don't know, I'm thinking all the time like, oh no, are we being a bit too so I think we try and speak as if we're like a hive mind.
That's it.
All of the emails come from both of us and we sign them with J and C or C and J, depending who's written it. And so like we try to be one voice so as to not be like, you know, a huge amount of work for our editors.
You're going to work, I have a very strange brain and I disturb myself. But when you say hive mind, I'm thinking it's a cult. Catherine and Joe, they're a little cult.
A 2-person cult, yeah.
It's a 2-person cult.
That's pretty
Speaking as one.
I nailed it.
You know what? We actually have an editor duo. We do have our UK editor, but the last edit that we received back of our second book was also a co-edit between our US editor and our UK editor. They were like, shall we do it together? And so it was really nice. Like, we were a duo, and now we had a duo of editors.
Yeah, I had that with the first book with my US editor and my UK editor. But I think, God, it's so long ago. It might have been my UK editor. I think they were both editing at the same time.
Right.
And then I think I might have got a combined editing note for the first book. But then I don't know if you've had this with your book, but it was when I was dealing with the US copy editor, and then you'd get what does this mean? And what does this word mean? And what would be the American equivalent? You're like, I don't know. I remember they asked me what would be the American equivalent to, I don't know if it was the chase or mastermind. It might have been mastermind. I think I mentioned mastermind in the Jigsaw Man. They're like, what's mastermind? I'm like, what do you mean, what's mastermind?
How do you even describe mastermind?
So I think I came up with Jeopardy. Just change it to the show, yeah. So how do you, when you're writing cozy crime, how did you deal with that?
That was really difficult, actually. It was probably, for me, one of the most interesting parts of the process was how the American editor needed stuff to change. You learn a heap
Mm.
about what does and doesn't translate.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, choosing when to change references is interesting, because so core to our book is that it's set in Kent, and it's a British countryside, home counties, cozy crime. The references are all very, very local.
Mm.
Knowing where to draw that line for like just slightly changing the integrity for an American reader versus leaving something as is and alienating them. And
Yeah.
who's the chef that we were referencing?
Oh, yeah, we had to take out a joke about Delia Smith.
Yeah, can't joke about Delia
Oh,
Smith.
they wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, I think it just wouldn't land. But so you see, our US editor, Michelle, like you were saying, she really appreciates the kind of the Britishness of it. So she has been amazing at sort of going to bat for us and being like, you've got to keep this reference to Tesco because Americans aren't going to understand what a Tesco is, but like they will get it in context.
Yeah.
It adds
On
texture.
Google.
Well, I think maybe our US copy editor added a few notes, like I didn't know what this phrase meant or what this thing was, but now I'd found out, and it's pretty, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like TV shows we reference and stuff.
Yeah, you don't realize like how much, as close as we are in terms of like you kind of like you feel like you know America because you grew up watching TV and I know in social media. But I think more when it comes to books and British books versus American books, there's like I think there's like a wider disconnect, and I see it a lot when when I go on threads, and it's American readers, and they're like, I didn't understand. You're like, but you can't change everything
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
American market because then it wouldn't be authentic to what you're writing.
yeah, exactly. And I think you have to take that leap of faith that if you are being published over there, yeah, because they want that little slice of your particular,
Mm,
voice and your Britishness and your like, they don't want a British pretending to be American. They want you,
yeah.
and yeah, you have to take the leap.
When you received your dual edit back from the US and the UK editor that you had, did you ever have moments where they contradicted each other in terms of what they wanted?
Oh, I don't think, thinking back, I don't think so. I think by the time they got to me, I think they had discussed
They
it
were
between
sure.
themselves. Yeah. So then the time it came to me, it just comes with, this is the final editing note. So I didn't see any contradictions. But you always have that moment, I think, with like you versus the editor when they make a suggestion. And I'm very stubborn. And I'm like, nope. And I'm proud of myself. I lasted through, I think, like 3 drafts of saying no to something until the last like line edit. I was like, no, she's right.
Well, absolutely amazing. It's useful for us being a duo in the sense that a lot of the time there is going to be a 3 against 2. So I'm also I'm
Yeah.
extremely stubborn, as Joe knows. And so a lot of the time there'll be something that, for example, I want to keep, but both you and our UK editor will have said the same, been like, oh, I think we can lose that. And it's easier for me to say, oh, okay, well, if it's 3 against 2, that just settles it for me.
It's a
I can,
numbers game then.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It makes more sense for me to say, okay, I have to let that go. Okay.
Yeah. And
Everyone
then I was
else.
just thinking, and we used to talk about the 3 against 2, and I just had a flashback to like primary school. And I was just thinking, like, you grow up when you're in primary school, you grow up working together.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
might have your little team and you might work on your little story together. So you do grow up working collaboratively. So it shouldn't really be like that unusual that like, oh my God, how do you do it? Because you do in this country, you do grow up working together in small groups from a very, very early age and building something together.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think I had it in my head that I like to be that maybe I wanted to be a writer because I like the kind of work where I would get left alone for a long period of time and I just go
Yeah.
deep in my own head. And then at the end I could say, I finished. I don't have to, interact too much. But working together has been a process of sort of challenging that belief and learning that actually maybe I do prefer working with other people. It
Mm.
just takes a bit more communication and effort, but at the end of the day, it is actually way more fun. And the same thing happened before we wrote a book. I've been working in like comedy, like TV and radio comedy, and the same thing sometimes happens if you have like a writer's room full of people, and sometimes you think, oh, I'm excited, but I'm nervous because you've got to open up
Yeah.
your brain to everybody else in the room and take risks and put your opinion forward. And it's a bit intimidating, but it's the same thing. At the end of the day, you think, wow, that was so much nicer than sitting by myself
Yeah,
for the whole
doing that.
day trying to figure it out alone.
Yeah. I like to ask when writers have had like other careers, even though it may be in the same creative field, but how did your previous, maybe it's not even your previous career, but how did your other career like prepare you for this writing journey?
Oh, whose career should we talk about?
Could you yours? You start. You start.
Mine is probably more obvious straight line because it
Mm.
was, I've been a advertising copywriter and a comedy writer as well already. And so it just teaches you loads of stuff about like being able to kill your darlings. So to just delete huge passages that you really liked, and then grudgingly see that it's loads better. And to understand that you've got to have ideas on the deadline and all of this kind of thing. Yeah, and also to have like just an incredibly thick skin. That
Yeah.
would be as well. So yeah, I think that's a pretty straight line, but your career is really different.
Yeah. So I would say from a writing perspective, I spent all of my 20s trying to get something made for
Mm.
British TV unsuccessfully. But I would say that experience probably positioned me to be quite commercially aware when I decided to switch to books about, what's really hot in the UK right now? What are people enjoying reading that I'm also going to enjoy writing? And that was certainly useful. And alongside that, writing a TV pilot, it's so short and tiny compared to writing a book. But if you've always wanted to write a book and you want to take on a smaller writing challenge first, just to see how possible it is to get something done,
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice link. Similarly, a short play. And then if you want to expand into writing, a 90-page screenplay for a film, yeah, it's about 3 times longer than a TV pilot, but you can do a draft in a couple of days, which is an amazing feeling to get.
Not a book.
Yeah, unfortunately, a pilot of a radio sitcom, for example, is about 5,000 or 6,000 words, which when you look at it now as an author and you're dealing with more like, 90,000+ words, you think, oh, actually, that's
Yeah.
not as big of I made a bit of a meal of that. And I've spoken to loads of my comedy writer friends who are just incredibly, incredibly talented and they say, oh, I could never write a book. And I think you absolutely could. It's at the thought of it. But I think, yeah, like you say, writing smaller things was a really good stepping stone to the mindset of writing more words.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And there's
Plus,
that.
it's all mental, isn't it?
Yes, that's
Totally.
exactly right.
Mental games.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would have experienced this, because your path took you into a world with a lot more writing.
Yeah.
Kind of if you've got people around you who all want to write a book, and it's a very common thing that people want to do.
Mhm.
Once one person has done it, you very quickly see in a couple of years, several other people have done it.
Yeah.
There's that kind of, is it banister effect?
The banister.
The banister effect.
Yeah.
Once someone sees that it's possible close to them, suddenly there's a sense, oh, I can do it too.
Mm.
That's-
It just reminds me of when I was, I think when the first book came out, and all of, not even lawyer friends, but lawyers I knew, they would message me on LinkedIn and then be like, congratulations, on Nadine, so happy for you. And the next one would be like, yeah, I'm thinking about writing a book. I had no idea prior to that.
Yeah.
Joe, when you was talking about wanting to write since your 20s, and we always talk about like rejection a lot. How did you manage that? Because it's part and course of it, and I don't think, regardless of whatever stage you're at in your career, at some point you're gonna meet rejection. So how do you manage it? How did you manage it? Not do, did.
I don't think there's much stage advice I can offer here, except for you get used to it very quickly. You build a thick skin, and you for some of your rejections, for the majority you probably won't, but for some you'll get some feedback, and you can decide with that feedback whether there's something useful in it or not. And sometimes there will be something that you can really roll with and learn from. One of the best bits of feedback I got was I won a small writing competition in a TV format. And oddly, part of the prize for that was the have an hour phone call with a literary agent. And this agent I think kindly told me, it's a fool's game trying to write for TV. If you really want to write for TV, write a book. Then the TV guys, they'll come and right. Look, if you really want to get something made, If you want your creative output out there, try writing a book. And that was really useful feedback.
Yeah, I think that's why you did it, because you did write a book and in the pandemic, and I was like, oh wow, he's done it.
Yeah.
So that was not a debut; that was a sort of previous.
Yeah.
So to your original question though, I would really encourage people to not be afraid of rejection. Anywhere you look, everyone, well, the vast majority of writers have experienced overwhelmingly rejection in their careers. Roll with the punches, learn from them.
Yeah, I think exposure therapy, isn't it? Because it actually feels weirdly quite good when you've got used to it and it sort of bounces off you a bit
Yeah.
more. It never completely bounces off you, but you get to the point where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that is what it is.
That's your opinion. I
Yeah.
said the very stubborn part of me comes into play. It's like, okay, whatever.
When-
I'll just move on. But I was mentoring a student once, a writer, and she was submitting to agents. And I told her, my advice was, we need to wait. Like, the manuscript's not ready to go out yet, but she submitted it. And let's say out of 5 of them, 4 of them just said a flat no. But there was one who said no. But when she forwarded the email to me, it was literally, you might say it was like 2 pages worth of feedback. But she couldn't see the feedback. All she could see was the no. And I was like, do you know how important and how incredible it is for
Yeah.
someone to take time out of their day to give you such detailed feedback? And really, the no is not a no. The no is, do all of these things and the door's still open. But I said, it's like I keep going back to it. It's a lot of mental in the stories you tell yourself.
I also think there's something about people really care about the things that they help to create. And
Yeah.
if someone is giving you feedback, that is an investment from them. If you can come back to them and demonstrate that you've addressed that feedback and they've helped to shape what you've become, you've got a real ally then, essentially, a real sponsor.
Yeah, well, she did, because eventually, after like, no, like, this is good, this is good, this is good. You need to go take it on board. And then she took it on board and she resubmitted and she signed with them.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
There's a good outcome to it.
Right.
When I like to ask, it's one of my favorite questions to ask now. When did you know that you were storytellers? I feel like you could be a good writer, man. You could be a good writer from primary school, but not everyone can tell a story, whether that's in your book, whether it's in your comedy or screenplays. When did you know you could tell a story?
Oh, I still doubt it. No, I know we can, especially as
Yeah.
a team. I really think with the book, you sort of, there's this feeling that you really want to. I don't know if you have this too, Nadine, but like I always felt like, oh, I really want to do this. Even when I was a little
Yeah.
kid, I would be saying to my mom, like, I want to be an author. She was like, oh, okay, great, good luck. No, she was encouraging, but yeah, I would like wanted to do it, but just didn't have any evidence that it was a good idea to try or that I could do it in any like no special skill or anything. And then I think it took up until writing our first book, and then when it's finished and you look at it, and because it's a book, you think, oh, well, maybe I have actually told a story now, and
Yeah.
like I quite like it. And
We had totally opposite dynamics in this regard.
That's why it's so interesting.
Well, I think it's why our partnership hopefully works.
Yeah.
So Catherine would have really enjoyed and done well at writing in school, for example, whereas it was my worst subject. I genuinely
it?
worst out of anything English, and it is why I think I came to writing in my 20s as like
Yeah.
an unexpected delight. But a sense of being a storyteller, as long as I can remember, I think my parents used to get really annoyed by how often I'd be making things up and spinning the arm, and they would refer to me as such a storyteller. And I think I had that in my heart, even though I wasn't very successful at writing
Yeah.
in school. But then when we found each other,
Yeah.
I think, are technically
I'm just really good at grammar, I think. I think just
But-
like no grammar, I'm good at spelling. That was always my thing.
but not necessarily a heap of confidence in your ability as a storyteller.
Yeah.
It would made us want to write together.
Yeah.
Just feel like, well,
Yeah.
that sounds like some jigsaw pieces coming.
Yeah. Me, I love a jigsaw. But it just like it just reinforces that thing that it's so you maybe at the time you can't see it, but when you look back, it's so important to have that one person, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a friend, whether it's some random aunt you only see every 3 years, but someone who can recognize something in you and just give you that little bit of confidence. to push it. Because you said you was able to tell good stories from an early, but it's then having that confidence in being able to know you can put that into writing or find another medium to put that
Yeah.
into. I always like
Because
seeing kids tell stories. Like I got one of my nieces when she was little, everything's like, well, why did you do this? And it's always when she takes a deep breath, I'm like, oh my God. Well, I'll do that. It's a whole story.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds like you. I think we were that for each other, you know, that person who was like, you should go for this.
Yeah.
You know, there have been other supportive people in our lives, of course, for both of us, but I think that that's what has made the difference so much, having a person saying, no, don't give up, like, have another go, and you're good at this. And that was for each other.
Yeah. I think it's so important to have someone. And also, it needs to be someone you trust as well. It's
Mm,
always going to come across a lot better, not just some random person on the internet.
yeah, exactly. Also, someone who's there in your house to give you just like a constant reminder.
Mm,
Yeah, you should still keep going.
yeah. So I was going to ask you, we might have already have covered it, but what is like the biggest challenge you can think of writing together?
Oh, the biggest challenge.
For us, it's when we disagree,
Mm,
and trying to manage conflict around that.
Mm,
And as stuff is evolving, as we enter our kind of, I guess it's our third year of writing together all the time. One thing that's evolved has been, for example, if on a bit of dialogue, if we're not sure whether or not we like a line, we'll each say how much we care about it on a scale of 1.
yeah.
And this is so mundanely simple. If Catherine is a 9 and I am genuinely a 5, this is easy.
I get my way.
Yeah.
Get away. And a lot of our conflict can be resolved that way.
Mm.
If you're both solid 10s, you can lose a day. And lining up a day to write is quite difficult. Like a whole clean day, 2 different people's schedules, we have other commitments.
Mm,
And that can be really frustrating. Writing time is precious. Writing energy is even more precious.
yeah.
And when you're disagreeing over something like a line, that can be very disheartening. Luckily, though, that's usually, in the editing phase, as I was saying earlier. During the writing phase, if there's a disagreement about a line, we just add a comment and have it all done there.
Mm.
And move on. But it's, managing conflict in editing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's the editing that's hard. In the writing stage, like you say, like normally just bigger, more fun things as well. Like, oh, this scene is not really working. Let's just brainstorm another one. Or this character needs something else going on. Well, maybe they write self-published novels about their, we'll just go to each other and get a really fun idea out of it rather than having to be pernickety.
I was just thinking, it's so ridiculous. Have you ever seen this show, Couples Therapy?
Yeah.
BBC Tech? And I just, when we're talking about conflict, I thought, oh my God, it's turned into couples therapy.
No.
You didn't sign up for this. I'm so sorry.
It's a completely different show. I am so sorry.
Podcast has become a drama. That's so funny. I'd like to hear more about it from other writer couples. I think a lot of writer couples are just like, we're just like so in sync and work perfectly. We've never had a fight on it.
Well, this is going to be the couples therapy bit. How do you compartmentalize or separate like your personal from your professional like relationship? Because writing's all
Like, difficult
consuming.
thing.
Thing with it. Yeah.
In a positive sense, it works really well because when we're in a good state, most of the time we're coming up with ideas and thinking of jokes and being like, wouldn't it be funny if that character did that? And it's nice that we can do that like, all the time. Like if we're on the plane ready to go on holiday or like first thing in the morning and it's always something fun to talk about and brainstorm. But yeah, if it's we've disagreed about something, I think you just have to learn to make up really quickly.
And we, at the moment, we're writing in the same space as each other.
Yeah.
This is our writing room. If I'm not going to come around, it's a very chaotic mess. I very deliberately angled you at the one clean bit of the room. But
I'm lucky. This room is very clean because it's the new year. It's all sparkling. See it in 6 months. Well, see it next week.
You do have that absolutely gorgeous classic writer's background. Some
Lovely.
files, some books, perfectly arranged.
If
We'll get
turn
there.
the
We'll get
camera
there.
this way.
Goals. It's different.
Yeah,
Well, what's the
we don't
plan?
need to look to the left of me.
But we try very hard to say when we're not in this room, we're not writing. It's not
That's
the
a good thing.
room. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you really still feel beat and got to talk about it. Look at that. We try and keep it in this room, which helps. And also, timeless advice: walk it off. We go for a long walk together a lot after we disagreed on something, which is tremendously useful.
Yeah.
This is a question. I saw it yesterday, and I thought, this is one I'll have to start asking my guests. Are you a morning person or an evening person? So when it comes to writing, because I'm very much, I just like to start my day early and get it. I can't be sitting here at 10 o'clock at night. Like it doesn't work for me. But how do you manage it if you have two different time schedules in terms of your writing habits?
We're the same, luckily.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we're both early morning people. I think we probably both get started working around 8, or maybe a little bit.
Well, there's sometimes Catherine likes to do more hours in a day than I do. And I kind of around 5 o'clock, I'll often start hovering around her computer screen saying,
Can we go? Can we go home? Can we go home?
I have time to Well, how early do you start?
Well, this morning so normally I normally go out and do a walk like at 6 o'clock in the morning, because I spend so much time sitting at a desk. If I don't get it, I don't like interrupting my day. That's basically what it is. So I don't like interrupting my day to go and do a walk or to go and work out. So I'll get up early, like 4:45. I'm normally at the house by 6:15. And then I know it's mad when you say it, but I didn't do it this morning, and because it was raining and miserable, and I was just like, and I missed it this morning. But usually I'm definitely by my desk, but at least by 9:15.
Oh, that's awesome.
Doesn't mean I'm writing at 9:15.
I saw a clip of your very Baltic walk yesterday. That looked like that would have woken you right up for some writing.
It was so awake. It was honestly, it was -5, and I said it in the video, as I got up, the heating didn't come on in the house, so I'm like, it's cold. I know it's cold, and then I'm already awake, so I thought, well, I can lie in bed and just lie in bed and wait for it to get warm, or I've already got my stuff ready, just go out. I thought, no, I'm going out, and it was fine as long as I was just covered up. But as the Apple Watch said, you walked 3 minutes fast. I'm like, yeah, of course I did. -8. I just wanted to get home. And then I'm seeing the runners out. There wasn't that many runners out yesterday morning, but it was funny. I'm not, but I'm saying the women were dressed sensibly. The men were in shorts. I'm like, I don't understand why you're in shorts at -5 running.
Oh my
You have
goodness.
nothing to prove.
I'm seeing so many men riding around in online bikes in shorts at the moment. It's the same phenomenon. I don't know what's. Have you been in trousers or in shorts?
What do they have to prove?
Yeah,
There's nothing.
It's a mystery for our detectives. Why not this moment outlet?
So yeah, I did miss it this morning, because I'm like, oh, now it feels like, because I slept longer, and it felt like it took me longer to get ready and to get into because I'm still like, oh, like it just took me longer to get into that rhythm of my day. So I will be back out walking, but yeah, the -5, I was like, no, I'm walking, I'm going home.
That's like a sort of Wim Hof type experience. The guy that breathes in really cold air.
Oh,
You take the ice bath.
The ice bath.
yes. A friend of mine, she was in Denmark for Christmas, and she did the whole ice plunge, cold water swim thing, and I was like, nope. I said, I will support you as your friend. I am not joining you.
His fingers only work when they're warm, okay?
We went to this.
They too. Right, can I ask you about before I ask you about the pie and mash detective agency? How much do you like pie and mash?
I like it a tremendous amount, and I would have it much more frequently for dinner if I was allowed.
Oh, you're not.
I like it cool. I like it a normal amount.
We live around the corner from a really brilliant old-fashioned pie and mash shop in
Not
Battersea.
Manzies.
No, different part of London. So in Battersea,
Okay.
we've got Golden Pie, which
Right.
is really, really excellent. If you're ever in the area, drop in. It's also just outrageously good value. It's like old-fashioned pie and mash prices.
Yeah.
And great
I-
dessert too.
Probably walking past that most days might subconsciously, like, I don't know, confuse it.
I've got a Manzies. Literally, it's not even 5 minutes walk from my house. And the queue on a Saturday morning, you're like, where have you all come from? Like, I don't see you during the week, but on a Saturday morning, there is a queue along the road getting into Manzies. Actually, I'm giving them an ad. They should sponsor this episode.
They should.
It's
Golden Pie and Manzies, they can split the sponsorship. Very kind of good plug.
it's bit driving, isn't it?
Yeah,
In the
exactly.
day.
Would you ever have eel with your pie and mash?
No. Sorry. I said that very quickly. No, thank you.
No, nor would I, to be honest, but a nod to it as the bit of pie and mash history.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I was going to ask you about your research because I heard, did you two do a detective course?
So we like to get hands on with our research for anything that we write. And the first thing to say about private detectives in the UK is it's not a particularly regulated industry, nor is there one single body that sets a bar for it. You technically can declare yourself a private detective, and
Just like that?
that's sufficient.
Nice.
However, there are bodies that get together and try and do qualifications and
Yeah.
standards. We signed up for I would say, suspiciously cheap one.
Yeah. One of the less reputable online detective course.
It was, and one of the less reputable
It was
ones.
online. So you should do this thing in person.
Well,
maybe it's old. It's the 70s
we
baby.
signed up for it thinking it was based in London. It had a very London-y name as to its location. I won't name it. And then once you enroll, you find out the course is run out of Shanghai, which wasn't part of the experience. Good tip. I think the thing with private detecting though is so much of it is the grit of the job, and is a really tough job in practice. And if you ever meet real private detectives, they are hard. They are hard folks doing tough stuff. Which is why it's been quite fun to write. I think quite a silly character.
Right, because I don't know if you could tell, but we're not really that tough.
I don't want to say anything to offend you.
I think what I've done is projected a lot of my feelings about having been a freelance writer onto what it might be like to be a freelance solver of crime. Just assuming that those things are probably kind of similar in the freelance side of it, than running your own business kind of side of it. So that's quite interesting.
Once we finished the course, I was really interested in looking into taking on a local case. And I knew I didn't want to do a gritty case. I didn't want to. I don't know exactly what I wanted.
I don't know what classifies like missing cat.
Missing cat
would be
perfect for me.
Wouldn't find it, but
we wouldn't find it. I did find this. I found this local exchange of business owners around the Battersea area talking about how there was a sign thief. Someone had been stealing from a few different pubs, like those standing signs.
Yeah.
Like the pub. And one of the businesses affected was our local pub, the Four Thieves in Clapham Junction. I went in and it was the manager behind the bar. And I said to her, "Any luck with the sign thing?" She went, "How do you know about that then?" And I was like, "Oh, I read about it online. Terrible."
Facebook, just say Facebook.
Yeah.
imagine if you tried to explain, "Oh, I'm actually a local amateur detective." Oh yeah, all right. That sounds likely.
Just bring back the sign, okay?
My brain's working very strangely today. But you know, when you were talking about, you did a detective course. And in my head, I just flashed back to, God, it just shows the generation I'm from, like the Yellow Pages. And like just having to go through the directory. And I'm wondering, they must have had a directory, a section for detectives in the Yellow Pages.
That's really cool. That's really it'd be cool to do a mystery about that, wouldn't it? Of like
The detective section of the
the
yellow
detective
pages.
section of the elephant.
Detectives.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself after doing that course?
Oh,
What do we learn about ourselves?
yeah, great
Yeah.
question.
I think
I
it would
mean,
teach you something, even though you wouldn't realize at the time, but you were like, I didn't realize I was this way inclined.
it hammered home for me my lack of aptitude for detail, like fine detail, and yeah, there were like a lot of fine details that like didn't really stick. I like the big picture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, it just affirmed it's an impossible dream. I had, as I think a lot of folks have, the fantasy of a trench coat and a magnifying glass and glamorous crimes around London, and it's not the reality, and it shouldn't be something that I go and.
But you should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about witnesses, you said whether you've got an eye for detail and practicing criminal law, and when you're cross-examining witnesses or just questioning witnesses in general. And I remember I had it was a murder case, loads, probably like 30 witnesses. And everyone's looking at the same scene. They're in different locations, but they're all looking at the same scene. Everyone's version of what took place is completely different. Even though they're
Wow.
all looking at the same scene for the same amount of time, there's no one's different coming to, the players haven't changed, but everyone's account of what they saw is completely different. And some will be really, really detailed. Some will be completely woolly. Like, I don't even know why I even gave a statement, but it's always interesting. But it's always interesting how different we three of us can be watching the same thing, and three of us will give different accounts.
Gosh, that's quite rattling, isn't it? Actually,
Mm.
what's even real?
We are all such unreliable narrators.
We are. They're like, we are. And you're just, in those cases, I mean, for me being a defense lawyer, so you always, you're testing the evidence. So, if you can point out all the contradictions in everyone's statements, that's always going to work in my favor. But generally, you're thinking, well, if 30 of you saw a murder, I should be hoping that, there should be some consistency
Yeah, you
within
think
that.
you'd remember it.
And they don't. It's people generally are fascinating. If you ever, I don't know how it would happen, if you ever got the opportunity to look at witness statements just for anything, it could be for a lost cat, and it's about more than two people looking at the same scene, there will be differences, and it's just crazy, just
Amazing.
bizarre.
That's probably really good for fiction, though, isn't it? If it was
Oh
straightforward,
yeah, it's great for fiction.
we would be into the inner joke. Wow.
I know, got all deep and serious there. Let's talk about your book. Catherine and Joe, would you like to tell the listeners of the conversation about the Pie and Mash Detective Agency? And then I have two questions, actually one question after that to follow from the book, and then we'll do your last set of questions.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, the Pie and Mash Detective Agency. It's about a 30-something-year-old couple, Simon and Jane, who take on a private detective night course for fun to spend more time together. But then through an unfortunate series of events, they get a coursework case that's actually a 50-year-old, very mysterious cold case. That basically the same young woman has been reported missing in and around Kent 5 times in 50 years. She never ages. The description's always the same. She never leaves a trace of where she's gone. And they have to track down, basically, she'd gone missing again a few days ago. And they get put on the case. Who is she? What does she want? Has something bad happened to her? Why does she never age? Is she a ghost? What is... Or they have to go deep into the countryside from their South London home to figure out who is Nellie Ford and where has she gone.
Okay, so my question, usually I ask, did you face any challenges when writing the book? But we've already spoken about challenges. So if you could spend an afternoon with any of your characters, who would you choose and why? And I want to know if it's different, actually. That would be cool.
Well, yeah, I think our protagonists, Simon, Mash, and Jane, play hopefully the two most lovable characters you'll ever encounter in a book. And they have a very warm, silly, playful dynamic with each other, and their favourite pastime is going to the pub. And we've always said, if we ever had the opportunity, we would love to go to the pub with the two of them. And I hope readers feel the same way.
Is this is bringing out this book, having your debut coming out together, is it more Does it feel more nerve-wracking than anything you've done in the past?
Hmm. Um,
Or are you just excited?
it's definitely the most exciting, and I think the stakes are the highest for me
Mm.
personally. However, I think I used to get way more, and yeah, it is a specific kind of nerves because you want people to like it, and
Yeah.
you poured so much into it. I think I used to get really nervous in the beginning of my career. I used to get so nervous about like we've got to go to a writer's room and I've got to be good enough and I've got to be this. And I think over time I've just like maybe decided I'm going to roll with it and try and enjoy it a bit more and try and be like, I'm just going to try and put the nerves aside and just appreciate how amazing it. I think all those things can coexist. You can be nervous and grateful. But yeah, I'm just trying to really enjoy it and be chill.
Yeah.
Similar. I think, as you know, publishing is a very slow process. You have a long time to sit and wait for your
It is.
great view. I wouldn't say I'm especially anxious about it. I do really hope people like it. I particularly hope people like it because the second book is written and coming out a year from now. So the first one's terrible. Sorry to our publisher.
How surprised were you by when you realised how long the publishing process is for a book? 'Cause I remember being told 2 years, and I was like, "Why does it take 2 years? It's it's done. Why does
I
it take
was
2
surprised.
years?"
I think we were told in a meeting as well that had quite a lot of important people in it, and we're like, great. But I do think ultimately that it's a good thing. I feel like it's a good thing now because I think if it happened very quickly, it would be like you say, but harder to get your head around mentally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of that shock comes from not knowing what the machine is, as you put
Yeah.
it out. And you're always explaining that to non-writers in your life. People are like, why is it taking so long? Why did it take so long? Well, because a lot of really talented, amazing people have to do their bit in making it what it is when it hits your hands.
Yeah. I remember with the first book, a very common conversation with me and my sister-in-law. Actually, it wasn't even a conversation. It would be her saying, "What are you doing?" "I'm editing." "Why are you editing?" "'Cause I've got editing notes." 2 weeks later, "What are you doing?" "I'm editing." "But I thought you'd done the edits." Set of edits. Next month, "What are you doing?" "Editing." "What?"
Hard relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
"You're trying to I'm like, "Well, this is how it's done." "Isn't it done? I thought you were done." You're like, "Yeah, I thought I was too." But
For sure, you'll know when it's finished. No.
now I'm like, "Listen, it's done when it's on the bookshelves. Until then, I don't think it's done. Until I see it on the bookshelves, then it's done."
Yeah.
I'm gonna do your final set of questions, Jo and Catherine. So for both of you, this will be interesting. Are you an introvert, extrovert, or hybrids of the two?
Different.
I'm a big introvert.
Yeah.
You're a big extrovert.
I think I'm on the line, but compared to you, I think I'm in.
Yeah. Does that come into play? Not with your writing, but when you're doing this stuff? Or when you have to do all the promo stuff and
Yeah, definitely. And especially stuff like if you do book drops and
Yeah.
obviously who doesn't know what a book drop is, before your book comes out, you visit some bookshops and offer booksellers an unpublished copy of your book in the hope that they like it and champion it locally. On a day doing book drops, kind of after I've done one, I want to get back.
Yeah.
Joe has a particular fear of being places that he hasn't been invited to after a traumatic project experience. And so, like, turning up at somebody's workplace and trying to give them a copy of our book in like a particular.
That's basically what it is, though. But you turn up at someone's workplace, and the thing is, the person your publicist might have spoken to, they may not even be the person who's at work that day. So this random person's looking at you like, "Who are you? What do you want?" It's like you've turned up at someone else's party and you haven't been invited.
Yeah, it is. So that's spent the night with you. We were at one bookshop in central London and we couldn't even find anyone who worked there. And I just went up to the nearest person who looked like they might. And I was halfway through my elevator pitch and I was thinking, oh, this woman might not work here. I'm 100%
Get a pre-order out of it, though.
Maybe, although she does now have a copy for free, so. But yeah, I think you can be quite energized and excited by this stuff. I find it very anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
But for the good of the book.
For the good of your book. It's a weird book drops are a weird thing. If it's a bookshop then it's fine. But I've done them. You've gone to, I'm saying some random bookshop, and you're like, oh, God, and they're looking at you like, oh, okay, right, yeah.
Thank you.
You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, exactly like
Okay.
that.
So, what challenge or experience, good or bad, I like to say, in your life shaped you the most?
Really good one. For me, I feel like I've been pretty lucky in my life. But yeah, I think just what I was saying earlier about many years as like a freelance creative person, I think it's been really amazing. But yeah, kind of like knocked me into shape, made me look braver and more organized. And yeah, a lot tougher. I was not born tough. I think one day I might fit this.
How are you, Joe?
I think I mentioned this a bit earlier, but yeah, neurodiversity impacted me a lot in school. I had a cocktail of diagnoses from dyslexia, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, which did make writing very difficult at that time without coping
Everything.
mechanisms.
It feels
But I think it was also well, it was an isolating experience, but it was also in many ways a nurturing experience.
yeah.
Figuring out, what stories I wanted to tell in my own head. And I don't know, I carry that with me today. So, and I think in the long run, it served me.
Yeah, well, you said that, going to have to go and sit and do exams in a separate room on your own, and it just like put you more in, you felt like an outsider and it put you more in your own head, but you sort of developed your own creative practice in your own. I can't really describe it as well as you do, but like it left you lots of time to think and figure out how you think and reflect on that.
Yeah.
It's been useful for you.
Is it like just working out how you adapt to different situations as well? Yeah.
For sure. I think at the time I would refer to them as coping mechanism. For now, they're definitely, things that I can do to get myself into a flow state, which is really useful when writing, especially when writing alongside other work and trying to make sure that the time and the energy you have to put into something is efficient.
You know what's really weird, and I've had a lot of flashbacks experiences today. I remember like doing exams, but it was never explained to the other kids in the hall doing the exam why another kid was doing their exam in a different room on their own. Like it was never explained. And I think if it was explained, I mean, this is the 90s now. So if it was explained, maybe it would have been a different, I don't know, maybe like a different environment, a different experience.
Yeah.
To students and people who are neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could be a double-edged sword. I mean, my friends, for example, would have known why I was in a separate room.
Yeah.
I'd get like 25% extra time. And, you'd get a friendly ribbing over it. Oh, that's unfair. That's unfair. But I mean, I can legibly write about 12 words a minute. So I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle even if my brain can do the work, I'm going to struggle.
It's the connection between the brain and the output, I suppose.
Yeah, well, maybe some kids would understand, others maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. It's kids in it. They're strange. They're strange beasts. Okay, so if you could go back to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Other than invest in. Well, Apple's too late.
Apple, I would have.
Apple has come and gone by then.
I would have invested in Apple and I would have invested in YouTube.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good one.
Not Apple, I would have done YouTube. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, YouTube's are really anyway.
I think I would have told myself to take bolder creative risks earlier. It's like you can, the easier to figure out how to get here from there than it is to go from there. No, I've got that statement wrong. Basically, once you've done something, you can see what it takes to get. And I think by 20, doing something like writing a book did feel totally. But you only figure out you can do it by trying.
That's
true. Exactly. 25 was when I really incredibly nervously signed up for my very first comedy sketch writing class on Saturday mornings and just almost had a panic attack and didn't go because I just didn't believe that I could be creative or that I could be funny or that I could do anything like this at all. And I kind of wish I could just go back and give myself a bit of a shake and be like, if you can just get over this a little bit and just do it a little bit faster and get around to writing, but believe in yourself a little bit more, or at least just don't waste so much time being afraid. Just have a go and and also start writing books sooner because I really like it. I didn't and then
There's a I mean, I reason why I've always picked 25 years old, 'cause I always think at 16 and 18, I don't think you're listening. 21, you're just not. Advice is not a thing you're taking on. I think at 25, you're you're looking at everyone else around you and thinking, "Oh my God, they're doing this and they're doing that." And also, I wanna do this, but I don't feel like the world kind of it's weird. The world still feels kind of small, but kind of big at the same time
Yeah.
when you're 25.
Isn't that when your brain finally stops, finishes its adolescence as well? Like you
Does it?
finally, it's something like that.
I think it's
This might,
arguable for some people, but it's another topic for another
might
day.
seem worried. Yeah, it might be junk science that it's being regurgitated by a writer who doesn't understand it. But yeah, I think that your brain actually doesn't quite finish forming until you're 25, even though we're
Yeah.
expected to be like full decision
Fully
making
fledged
adult. Yeah.
adulting, as I like to
Yeah.
say. You're supposed to be adulting.
Yeah. So quite a well chosen age to
Yeah.
mention.
Okay, and what is your this is my I like this question. What is your non-writing tip for writers? I say it could be, you said it earlier, it could be go for a walk, touch grass.
That's a good one. We were watching this video the other day by Philippa Perry, and the psychotherapist, and I really love this advice. She said, if you're at a party, walk around with 2 drinks, because if you get stuck in a conversation you're not enjoying, you can pretend you've got to go and give the drink to someone
Oh,
else.
I love it.
And if you do like the conversation, you can have 2 drinks.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, gonna
Good
be definitely
advice.
listening to more of her advice, I think.
Joe, do you have a non-writing tip?
Writing adjacent tip. Invest in an ergonomic keyboard. Blows my mind how often I see people trying to work and write on a little MacBook, and it's so bad for your wrists and your joints. Pick yourself up a meaty number like this, and your wrists will thank you in the long run.
You're such a dad.
It's such a but I agree with that advice. I have an iMac and the keyboard is too small and too flat. And it hurts my wrist. So I've got first I had the ergonomic, the curve one,
Yeah.
where it kind of like splits it, but I didn't like. But now I've got like a proper keyboard. It's good advice.
Thank you.
Your wrists and your fingers will appreciate it, and your back.
Sorry for roasting it, damn it.
How dare you, Catherine? It's good advice. My advice is find a good chiropractor. So my chiropractor, whenever I go and see her, like she just knows. She's like, "You've had a deadline, haven't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, shoulders are up, back, and I have scoliosis anyway, so that's why I was seeing her. But when it's that I've been, I've got a deadline and I've been stuck at my desk all day for days, and the time I see her, I'm like all seized up. She's like, "Yeah." She goes, "I keep telling you, maintenance, not you need to save me."
Do you get to hear your back go and click and stuff? Is it the most satisfying thing?
It's normally it's my neck, does the back, and she's done my hips.
Ooh.
The hips is always the weird one because they pushes down on your hips. You're like, "Oh," you're like, "Oh."
Well,
But
I'd
it's
love to
not
try
pain.
it.
Same.
You should do it. You should
That's
do
your
it.
birthday
But
present,
it's
isn't it?
it's pain. I think people think when you hear the click, it's pain. I think they say it's air escaping.
Yeah.
That's what the click is. But you do feel like you start moving like, "Oh, I can move." It was so
Well,
good.
I'd love to know like that. That sounds amazing.
If you're listening on the podcast and not watching YouTube, I'm moving in my desk because this is how you feel. You're like, "Oh, this is how young people feel." I don't feel old. When I was 25. Are you allowed to say what book 2 is about? Do you know the title for book 2? Or was it all under wraps?
Well,
Yeah.
we can tell you the working
I
title.
put you on the spot 'cause I'm trying to come up with a title for my new book. And I'm like, So
There's a
It's
lot
tough.
of
Have you found in the past that you've had a title that you really love and then your publisher has suggested a change?
let me think. No, I think with the first 2 books my first 2 books in my series, I came up. No, I definitely can't title for the first one. I wanted to change it, The Jigsaw Man, because at the time I was like, this is such a good title. And then you go on Amazon and there's like 500 other books called The Jigsaw Man. I thought we should change it. And my editor was like, no. And I think the second, and I can't write without calling it something. So they all have titles. But I knew the second book, which was called The Binding Room, that was originally I called it False Prophets, but then I didn't like it. So I think we worked on titles together. So that's how it normally works. It's definitely collaborative. So I always have a working title because I just can't call it book 4 because I'm
Yeah,
like,
same. What is that? Yeah.
yeah, it needs to be called something.
Yeah.
So our working title for book 2 is The Murder Mystery, and
Hey.
it is about a mystery that takes place at a murder mystery weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do you
We
watch a
went
lot of sorry, go on.
oh, no, oh, this is really sorry. We went to a murder mystery. Speaking of research, we went to a murder mystery weekend to research it and to sort of test it out. And was it 2 or 3 night in this hotel in Surrey. And it was absolutely amazing. We're like, we got to do something about
A
this.
humbling and intense experience. A lot of people have experienced a murder mystery evening that gets put on with their friends or whatever, but the residential murder mystery weekend, it's a different
Oh, are they
thing.
playing it out the whole weekend?
Yeah.
But even if you're going to have breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll come and sit with you. And in the opening drinks, one of the rules is that you're meant to say in character in the world. And the first person I spoke to at these drinks, I was like, "Have you done one of these before? I don't know if I'm going to be very good at it." And she kept like clearing her throat, and then Jim was like, "She's one of the actors."
Just one of them.
She's one of the actors. She's trying to get you to say
God.
character.
See, I've done it for like a dinner,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if my personality could take a whole weekend. I'd probably leave. I
It was
Yeah.
intense,
Yeah,
like,
done.
in a good way, and
Yeah.
you get really into it, and I totally see why, and we met people who've been coming back every year, or more than, once a year for, like, 20 years, and for some people, it takes years and years and years of attending to be able to solve, the first one, 'cause the specific one we went to is really, really intricate plot,
They're hard.
really
They're really
intricate, they're hard, and, that's a compliment, the challenge was fun. We did
Wow.
not solve it.
I commend you.
Well, thanks.
I do. I commend you. I was gonna ask you if you watch Cozy Crime because I remember I like Father Brown, and I was watching an episode of Father Brown at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And literally the opening scene was this woman going into the bedroom, and then someone comes into the room, and you just saw this splash of blood on the curtains of the 4-poster bed. And I was sitting there, I think I was having lunch, and I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Should I be cutting people's throat and seeing blood on the 4-poster bed curtain at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? It's like Cozy Crime is not that cozy. It's still a murder.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I should just say this. I sometimes find that a bit discombobulating when I'm reading Cozy Crime. It's like, we're making light of this person's dead. No worries. But there's something in our brain, in our human brains, I think, that likes to. I think it's to convince ourselves that we can cope with the world's worst case
Yeah.
scenarios. Or I don't know what it is.
It's disturbing though when you're eating. They're then talking about scones and
Yeah.
jam and cream next scene, and you're like, Mildred's dead, and she had her throat cut,
Yeah.
and you're talking about the fate.
I actually think our books, not to give too much away by saying too much, I think our books are significantly less gory or like murder heavy than they could be. How would
So far.
so far?
So
It
far.
can
We're
happen.
still book 2,
Mm.
and then book 3 says.
Mm.
Oh, well, oh no, I got to do the last bit. I was about to say bye. Finally, JD Brinkworth. Where can listeners find you online?
You'll find us most active on Instagram at JD Brinkworth. We do have Twitter/X, which is at JD Brinkworth _. We don't post very often, but if you ever want to drop a message, we'll get it. Anywhere else?
There's nowhere else. We got the TikTok handle, but I'm not ready for that right now.
No, we'll get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok's a thing. I'm on it, and I'm like, I should use it more, but I'm like, my personality type is not look at me, I'm gonna do a dance.
Right.
Yeah, that's our
No.
situation. We so badly want to hide from the camera that when we did our book cover reveal, we rigged up like puppetry of the book magically floating out of the box on strings, like to avoid having to be like, this is happening.
Well, thank you for joining me on camera.
It's been fun though.
It's been great fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm gonna officially say then. Oh, I need to get I've got my names all mixed up. I was saying Joe, and I was like, no. Let's get this right. So that just leads me to say Joe Deakin and Catherine Brinkworth, aka JD Brinkworth. And it was only yesterday, like a Muppet. I was like, oh That's where the JD Brinkworth comes from.
Yeah.
I was like, you're so slow. That's like, what is wrong with you?
Oh, that's where it is.
How the pseudonyms
And
came together. Like it literally wasn't in front of me. Literally it wasn't in front of me.
It took me a while too.
it took ages to come up with it.
Well, you go, but who did? Who did you come up with it, or did you come up with it, Jo?
He had the better ideas, and that was one of them. You suggested it, I think.
I don't remember doing that, but thank you.
We're on crime scene with it. We've got different, but I think it was you.
Did you? I'm gonna let you go, but did you know from the beginning that you were gonna write under a pseudonym, or was it suggested? Oh no.
It was suggested. We had an extremely long title and 2 quite long names, and so the front of the book was going to be very cluttered. It was going to be something
Yeah.
like Pie and Mash Detectives in Training: The Recurring Disappearance of Nellie Thorne by
Oh, Lord.
Dinkin and Catherine Brinkworth. And I just was like, okay, you know what books are only this today. But yeah, we decided a pseudonym was definitely the better route. It's much neater. And I mean, it's this
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, like,
Yeah, I like it, and it is both of you anyway. Once I worked that out very slowly last night, like a muppet, I was like, Nadine, who would have thought you're a criminal lawyer? You didn't
no,
know
I
that.
think the boot was on the other foot. I would never get it. It's quite something like the JD.
I'm waiting for the day we get invited onto a panel and we'll show up and there'll be one seat for both of us. Flat and flat.
Like a puppet.
Whoa, 2.
Yeah.
We're a couple and a couple. Okay, I'm gonna officially let you go. So JD Brinkworth, thank you so much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
What a treat.
It's so much fun.
Thank you so much for watching the Conversation podcast. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.